Number one, I think it's very, very important to listen, and just for them to know that you're there and you care, because sometimes we can be so quick to want to help, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think listening first is very, very important, so that that person has a safe space to talk about how they're feeling. So I think for me, one of the key things is listening.
And without judgment as well.
Definitely. Because if we're so quick to maybe think, oh, you're feeling like this because I told you the relationship that you were going to be in, now look at you, you know, now I told you so, this guy was not good for you, now look at you, you're struggling.
The person just closes up.
So it's literally about, it's very important to listen without judgment.
And I think another thing is asking them what they would like help with, or what they think would be helpful, because a lot of times we're so quick to want to fix problems or give suggestions. We actually feel uncomfortable just listening and not suggesting something or saying, why don't you try this, why don't you try that? But sometimes that can be invalidating of what they're actually going through, so it may be helpful to just ask them, what can I do to help, or what do you think might be helpful? Granted, you may get, I don't know, I just don't know, but give them time, you know, so don't just ask them and they say I don't know, and then you're like, oh, okay, let's think about this. Just leave, be okay with that silence at times.
I think the other thing is if they're in need of urgent support, like if there's any risk involved. So maybe someone has said to you, a loved one or a friend has said to you that I'm thinking of ending my life, so they're having suicidal thoughts. I think one of the things is to, as difficult as it is sometimes, it's good to inquire a little bit more, but gently. You know, like, I know you're saying that you really don't have any kind of, you know, desire to live anymore. Is this something that you've thought about, you've planned? You know, do you have a plan in place? And it is a difficult conversation, very uncomfortable conversation to have with someone, especially someone that you love, because if they say yes, also for you that might be heartbreaking, and again you might be so quick to be like, go into fix mode, and then feeling like, whoa, this is too much for me. So it's also to try, which is understandable why any loved one would feel like that. You know, you really want to try to figure a way out to make them happy, so you know, you try to get them out of that space. So it's very important to also maybe think of emergency services that you could contact. So one is the GP, you know, speaking to the GP. Samaritans, NHS 111. Those are services that you as a loved one can contact and say that you are worried about a loved one. And so we'll give, all these details will be down below, so we'll put them in the description box, so all these emergency contacts, if you're in need of them, we'll put them down below.
And then to address the aspect of what if they're reluctant, I definitely say consider all the things that we've already mentioned, but then also it might be worth just asking, why don't they want to seek help? And I think that's an easy question to miss, because you're thinking, but clearly something's wrong, you need help, like why, you know, we're asking it in our mind and we're just angry that why they're not wanting help. But ask the person,
trying to push them to, and actually we're questioning in our minds and we're thinking, why isn't this person wanting help? And that pushes us to push them even more to ask for help. But I think again it goes back to listen. You know, trying to listen and understand is why isn't this person wanting support or wanting help? Maybe it is stigma. You know, they're fearful of stigma, and so when you understand that someone is scared of being judged, or so then that's when you support them through that to try and help in their world break that stigma. And if it's fear, sometimes people are fearful of, I know some people are fearful of, you know, does that mean I'll be locked in a mental institution? Does that mean that my children, for those people who have children, my children will be taken away because I won't be seen fit to be with my kids or to raise my kids?
Will it affect my job?
Exactly. Will it affect my job? You know, so many factors that people are so much fearful of. But you know, and you can help them find out. Okay, let's find out. You know, we don't necessarily have to put you in it, but we can find out if, you know, if you're suffering, if you're suffering from any sort of mental health problem, you know, what are the steps that people take, and how, in what situations do you find kids being taken away from their parents? In what situations do people get institutionalized or, you know, put in mental health institutions? So I think listening will help you find a way to maybe support them through that.
And another thing to consider is, if you are supporting someone that is struggling with mental health, any type of mental health problem, is to also look after yourself.
Yes.
Because it can, I think Debbie mentioned it briefly earlier, about how it can get on top of you and you can think, oh gosh, this is too much. It can affect you, especially if they disclose really upsetting experiences they've been through, or things that are going through their mind. It can be a lot to take on. So I guess we don't want a case where you're then in a position where you're struggling. So you need to look after yourself. And we were speaking about this earlier as well, and what we thought is, therapists have supervisors. Therapists have an avenue to let out how they're feeling if a case that they've worked with is upsetting them, or you know, they can't cope. So the same way a relative or a friend supporting someone else, you also need support as well. Don't feel like you have to take it on all by yourself.
Absolutely, take care of yourself, because especially if someone is going through that, and you might be checking on them quite regularly, and sometimes when you check on them quite regularly, the conversations could be quite low, quite upsetting, and to be fair, sometimes to some people it can be quite draining. So you need to find ways of literally taking care of yourself as well, so that you can also be there for your loved ones. So taking care of you also, you know, it helps you be there for the person as well. So.
And I just thought, like, for some people it might be that, oh, I don't want to impact on their confidentiality, but you can still seek help and maintain their confidentiality. So don't let that be a barrier for you seeking help for yourself as well. You can still maintain their confidentiality. You don't need to disclose their name, who they are, what they've even said. You can just say, I'm struggling, and just focus on your self-care and your mental well-being as well.
Absolutely.